Hello and welcome to part 2 of this mini series. And today in this video we're going to be looking at polymodeling, which is effectively using edit mode and using different polygons and triangles to get a shape effectively. So we're going to be using edit mode for the most of this video. In my previous video at the end of my installation guide, I went through a brief tour of Blender showing you the shortcuts. If you haven't remembered them, I'm going to put them up on the screen right now, and I recommend you write them down because I'm going to be going through them quite quickly. Okay, this is something I've made for art. It is a chair and I used edit mode to make it, and I used quite precise measurements to use it. One thing you should know when you're making anything in Blender is it will say meters, but that's actually not correct. It uses units. So if it says 1 meter, it means 1 unit. So just say you export it into another program. If that program is using millimeters, it will be in millimeters. If it's using centimeters, it'll be in centimeters. And if it's in meters, it'll be using meters. So when I did this, I used various different methods to get the certain shapes. A lot of using the fill tool, extruding, and I used a couple of other modifiers to help me make these edges and these arches like this. So we're going to open a new file, and we today are going to be making a chair, not like that, but quite a similar one. So, okay, now that we have a new file, we're going to do Shift A and we're going to add a plane. Now we're in object mode at the moment, which is fine. We're just going to move this plane upwards, and this is going to be at the top of the table. I'm going to click X right here to get this face, and we're going to do G, and say we want our table about 1 meter high. So when we click G, we're going to also click Z, and that's so we move it along the Z axis. And we're going to say 1 meter, maybe like that. Now this is quite a big table at the moment because it's 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter. So what we're going to do is, I think that's 2 meters actually. We're going to go into edit mode and we're going to click the top and select these two sides, click G, and along the X axis, because that's the red one, and we're going to click negative 0.5. And we're going to do the same here, but this time we're going to do 0.5. And we get a rectangular table like this. Okay, now there's a few ways you can do this. You can either select all the vertices, but what's much easier in my opinion is if you click the face and you click extrude. Now this is automatically going to go on the Z axis because it'd be a bit strange to go any other way. So it depends how thick you want your table, but we're going to go 0.1 like that. So that's about 10 centimeters. It's quite a thick table, but it's mostly just for aesthetics at the moment. So now that we have our table like this, we're going to go into vertice mode. And what we're going to do is we're going to click Alt, click, and that is going to select, or we should select, all the bottom things. That's not working, so we're just instead going to select all the bottom vertices, and we are going to go on this axis, sorry, like this, and click. We're going to click extrude and scale, so E, then S, and then we're going to get to a point that we want. So I roughly like it here, and in the top left corner, if you follow my mouse around up there, it says the number which you can type in and get a rough estimation of where you want it. So I am happy around about possibly 0.9. So I'm going to click 0.9 and click enter. And here we've got a little indentation like that. So we're going to select all these. And we're going to click on X and press extrude, and roughly 0.1 looks good. There we go. And now we've got the little indentation on the table. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a new command, which is Control R. And basically what this does is you can add new loops into your object. So when you click Control R, if you scroll up or down, I recommend you keep the mouse in the same place because it can be a bit finicky. And you scroll up or down, and that's how many cuts you get. So click on that and click it, and you got a bunch of brand new vertices. So we're going to do the same thing over here, like that. This isn't the most exact method. There are plenty of other ways you can do this, and you get a different cut like this, so you can measure the edges, but this is just quite a simple and quick way of doing it. So if we select all of these, we're going to get some legs. So I'm going to click on X like that, and we're going to click extrude like this. And that's about 0.9. And there we go. Now, these legs don't look very succinct. They look a bit just blocky. So what I might do is, instead of that, we can bevel the edges. So if we go like this, extrude it, press E and extrude it maybe like that. Doesn't really matter how much you do it by. And we're going to use a modifier. So we click on this button here, and what we're going to do is we're going to do bevel. And that bevels all the edges like this, which looks pretty cool. Now, if we click back on the faces and click extrude, and doesn't really matter where, just whenever you want it, and we have a nice table just like that. Now we can do whatever we want to this table. Back in object mode, we can move it and we can make some chairs, which I'll do in a second. Okay, now that we've made the table, we can make a chair. So make sure you go back into object mode because we need to add a new object, and we're going to do Shift A and we're going to add another cube. Now this is quite big and it will just be easier if we scale it down. I'm going to scale it down by 0.2, and we're going to click G and on the x-axis, which is the red one, and we're just going to move it over here for simplicity. I might move it a little bit more just to get it out of the way, and then we can work on it. So now that we're over here, we're going to go into edit mode and we're going to make the chair. So make sure you're in vertice mode, and we're going to select all the bottom vertices and we're going to click G, and on the Z axis we're going to move it up and have it maybe 0.3, maybe 0.4 would be better. Maybe not. 0.35. It depends on how big you want it, and it's entirely up to you. Okay, we're going to click A, and that's going to select everything, and we're going to click G, and on the Z axis, we're going to move it up a little bit, and there we go. So we're going to do Control R, And we're going to make a few loops. It doesn't really matter how many, it's just so you roughly get a square on this side here. And we're going to start making the legs and the table. We're going to do Control R again and scroll a little bit more. Perfect. Okay. So go into face mode. We're going to pick face mode, and we're going to pick and hold shift, and we're going to click every second one, and we're going to zoom out a little bit and extrude, let's say 0.35, maybe 0.4 would be better. Yep. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is we are going to click this button, and up here this is snap to vertex or snap to edge, and we're going to put it to snap to edge. And basically this means whenever you create a new vertex, it's going to snap to the edge. You can change it to vertex or face, and that will just have a slightly different effect, but mostly the same thing. So if we go back into vertices and we select these two, click extrude, and it's going to join right up there. And you want to get it on, you want to make sure it's on the corner. We're going to do vertex instead because that's going to go on the corner. Press extrude, and that's going to join right there. Now we can keep going and repeat this for each one. It just take a little minute. There we go. All right. So once you've done that, you're going to select each of these, and we're going to extrude till we get about there. And we've got the top of our chair so far. Now, effectively, we're just going to repeat what we did for the table, which is add the legs. And what we're going to do is we are going to go back into vertex mode, and we're going to click all of these. So after we've scaled it like that, we are going to do the same for these edges, just so when we extrude these, they're going to be a square. And just take a second to do that. Now this should be, once you get a sort of square shape, again click faces, and you're going to shift select all the edges ones. Go back like this, extrude, that should already be on the Z-axis as it shows this line, and then extrude to however much you want. I'm going to do 0.35. And there we go. Now again, we're going to bevel the edges. What I might do before I bevel the edges though is I might add a little edge here just to give it a bit more structural integrity, like this. And we're just going to extrude it down a little bit just so it looks more realistic. So we go E, again, it's just gonna, oh yeah, you also want to turn this off just because that might cause a few issues. Do that, and there we go. Control B, click bevel, and you can do the offset. You want it quite low, so 0.01 possibly, that is all right. And then you can also have number of segments, and that's going to control how much it bevels by. You probably don't want too many, but I'm just going to do 2. And it will look like that. We go back to object mode, and there we go. You also get that sort of thing on the top, and that's all right. You can, so yeah, it looks almost like it's been threaded with natural materials. So if you want to add some more chairs or scale, you can just do Control-C, Control-V. But for now, I'm just going to move the chair. So if we click G, then Z, and move it here. Now that chair's a little bit small at the moment, so of course we just scale it up until you're roughly happy with it. And we'll go G and Y like this. Make sure it's not intersecting. But then what we're going to do is we're going to click Control-C, Control-V, and G, click Y just to move it along. Then we've got 2 chairs. Okay, now when we copy and paste the next chair, we're going to be up here simply because we're going to rotate it. So we can do Control-V, rotate it, and we're going to rotate it 180 degrees like that. Then we click G and we're going to move it along the x-axis because that's the red one and that's where we want to go. I'm going to put them a little bit under, and same with this one. So G along the x-axis like that, just because that's a bit more realistic. We do it like this. It doesn't have to be perfectly in line unless you're really fussy about it. If so, you'd be keeping track of the measurements and such. So we're going to copy this one, paste it, G, and we're going to move it along the y-axis like so. And there we go. We've got a nice table setting just like that. Hope you found this useful. In the next video, I'm going to be going through how to render it and shade it and make it look like a proper scene. Hope you found this useful, and thank you for watching.